It's 6 a.m. An old man stands in front of the mirror, staring at the face that looks back at him. The wrinkles are deeper than yesterday. The silver hair seems brighter. He touches his skin and whispers, "Where did all the years go?" For a moment, he feels as if youth has slipped away forever, along with the ability to truly love himself. This is not just his story. It's the quiet story of countless people as they grow older. They feel the weight of time, the fading strength, the silence of empty rooms. And yet, the Buddha's wisdom gently reminds us, old age is not the end of love. It is the doorway to a love far greater than youth could ever hold. When the body slows, the heart has a chance to open. When the hair turns silver, compassion shines brighter. This stage of life is not about pretending to be young again. It is about discovering a new, sacred kind of love, a love rooted in acceptance, tenderness, and wisdom. In the next few minutes, we will walk together through a journey of Buddhist teachings on self-love in old age. Teachings that will show how to embrace impermanence, release self-criticism, transform loneliness, and even see your so-called flaws as golden marks of beauty. By the end, you may see aging not as a loss, but as a gift. Before we dive in, let me ask, if what you're hearing touches something inside you, take a moment to like this video, subscribe, or share it with someone who might need these words today. That small act is not just support for this channel. It's a way to carry this wisdom further, to someone who may be silently struggling with the same feelings. So now, let us begin this journey together. Because the truth is, love doesn't fade with time. It only changes shape. And what waits on the other side of aging might just surprise you. 1. Impermanence as a teacher. There was a woman I once met. Her name was Anna. She was in her 60s, graceful, but there was always a shadow in her eyes. She told me, "I feel like I'm disappearing. My hair is turning gray. My body isn't the same, and sometimes I don't even recognize the person in the mirror." Have you ever felt that way? Like time is stealing something from you? It's a quiet battle we all face. The body changes. Friends move on. People we love pass away. And suddenly, we realize that nothing, absolutely nothing, stays the same. This is what the Buddha called impermanence. And instead of seeing it as a curse, he saw it as the greatest teacher. At first, Anna resisted it. She dyed her hair again and again, chasing the look she once had. She filled her calendar with distractions so she wouldn't feel the silence in her home. But the harder she fought, the more exhausted she became. One day, she sat down in a meditation class. The teacher simply said, "Notice your breath. Notice how it rises and falls. Each one begins, and each one ends. That is impermanence. And yet, in that rhythm, there is life." Something shifted in her. She realized that impermanence wasn't stealing from her. It was inviting her to treasure each breath, each laugh, each wrinkle as proof of a life fully lived. The Buddha once said, "All conditioned things are impermanent. When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering." Think about that. If we can truly see that every moment is passing, doesn't it make sense to stop clinging and start appreciating? Anna began small. She started writing down 3 things she was grateful for each morning. A smile from her neighbor, the warmth of her tea, the fact that her body, though aging, was still carrying her through the day. Instead of rejecting her age, she began to embrace it. Her wrinkles became a map of every smile she had shared. Her gray hair became the silver crown of her resilience. Her silence at home became space for reflection, prayer, and peace. And slowly, the shadow in her eyes began to lift. Impermanence is not here to punish us. It is here to remind us that nothing should be taken for granted. When we fight against it, we suffer. But when we learn from it, we are free. So, let me ask you, what in your life have you been resisting, trying to hold on to? And what would change if, instead of clinging, you chose to honor it, to love it, knowing it won't last forever? Because, in the end, it is impermanence that teaches us how to live. 2. Letting go of the mirror self. There was a man named Robert. He had just turned 65. Every morning, he would stand in front of the mirror a little longer than before, tracing the lines on his forehead, pulling back the skin under his eyes, and whispering to himself, "Where did the man I used to be go?" Have you ever done that? Stared at your reflection and felt more like a stranger than yourself? Robert had built his whole identity on how strong, how sharp, how handsome he once looked. The mirror was his judge. If it approved, he felt worthy. If it didn't, his confidence vanished. But here's the truth the Buddha pointed to again and again. Our worth does not live in the reflection on the glass. It lives in the love we give, the wisdom we cultivate, the experiences that shape our soul. Yet for Robert, this was not easy to accept. His mind kept fighting. If I don't look young, will people still respect me? If my face no longer shines, will I still matter? This was his silent suffering. Not from age itself, but from clinging to an image that no longer existed. One day, during a Buddhist talk, the teacher said something that pierced him like lightning. Wrinkles are not flaws. They are the chapters of your story. Each one is a memory, a moment, a lesson. Robert went home that night and sat quietly. He looked in the mirror again, but this time, instead of searching for the man he once was, he whispered something new. "Thank you. Thank you for carrying me through every storm, every joy, every heartbreak." Slowly, the mirror began to lose its power. Because Robert realized that the real reflection of who he was lived in the eyes of his grandchildren when they ran to hug him. It lived in the wisdom he shared with his younger coworkers. It lived in the kindness that lingered in every life he had touched. The Buddha once said, "The beauty of the body fades, but the beauty of a compassionate heart endures." That is the beauty no mirror can take away. So here's a practice. Next time you look in the mirror, instead of searching for what's lost, look for what remains. The courage in your gaze, the softness that comes from forgiveness, the depth that only years of living can bring. Your reflection is not the enemy. It is simply a reminder that the body changes. But your true self, your kindness, your wisdom, your love, shines brighter than any wrinkle could ever dim. So tell me, what do you see when you look in the mirror? A body that is fading, or a soul that is glowing more than ever? 3. Compassion for the journey. There was a woman named Margaret. At 70, she carried a heart full of memories. Some were bright, like the day her daughter was born. Others were heavy, like the years she spent blaming herself for a broken marriage, or the nights she cried after losing her job. Every scar, every mistake, every loss, she saw them as proof of failure. And so, she often whispered, "If only I had done better. If only I had been stronger." Do you hear the weight in those words? Maybe you've said them to yourself too. But here is where the Buddhist path shines a gentle light. The Buddha taught that pain is not punishment. It is a teacher. And the wounds we carry are not evidence of weakness. They are evidence that we lived, that we endured, that we kept walking. One afternoon, Margaret was speaking with an old monk. She confessed, "I feel ashamed of the mistakes I've made. I can forgive others, but never myself. The monk simply smiled and said, "Then treat yourself as you would treat your best friend. If she stumbled, would you push her down again? Or would you hold her and say, 'You did your best. You are still worthy of love'?" Those words opened a door inside her heart. Because, for the first time, Margaret realized compassion was not only something she could give to others, it was a gift she owed herself. From that day forward, she practiced a simple meditation each morning. She placed her hand on her chest, breathed deeply, and whispered, "May I be kind to myself. May I forgive myself. May I honor the journey that brought me here." Slowly, her relationship with the past began to shift. The failures became lessons. The losses became reminders of impermanence. The scars became proof of resilience. The Buddha once said, "You yourself, as much as anyone in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." Margaret carried that sentence with her like a lantern, and every time old regrets surfaced, she returned to it. Not as an escape, but as a reminder, compassion heals where blame cannot. So let me ask you, when you look back on your life, do you see a list of mistakes? Or do you see a map of survival, courage, and growth? The truth is, every wound has already proven your strength. Every heartbreak has already shaped your wisdom. And every step, even the ones that felt wrong, brought you exactly here, listening, learning, and awakening. So tonight, when the memories return, try whispering to yourself as you would to a beloved friend. You are enough. You have always been enough. And your journey, with all its twists and turns, is sacred. 4. The practice of gentle speech. There was a man named Thomas. He was 72. On the outside, he looked calm, polite, even kind to everyone he met. But inside, his inner voice was harsh, unforgiving. Whenever his hands trembled, he scolded himself, "You're weak." When his memory slipped, he muttered, "You're useless." And when he looked at his aging body, he whispered words he would never say to another soul. "You're nothing but a burden." Can you feel the cruelty in those words? Words spoken not to an enemy, but to himself. This is where the Buddha's teaching invites us to pause. Because speech is not only what we say to others, it is also the language we speak to our own hearts. And just as sharp words can wound a friend, harsh self-talk can wound the soul. One morning, Thomas visited a Buddhist temple. He overheard the teacher say, "Speak as if your words are seeds. If you plant thorns, pain will grow. But if you plant kindness, peace will bloom." That sentence stayed with him. For the first time, he realized the words he spoke to himself every day were seeds of suffering. He had been watering anger instead of compassion. So he began a new practice. Each time he caught himself saying something cruel inside, he paused. And he replaced it with a gentle phrase. When his knees ached, instead of saying, "You're broken," he whispered, "Thank you, legs, for carrying me all these years." When he forgot a name, instead of muttering, "You're useless," he smiled and said, "It's okay. My mind has held countless memories, and I'm grateful for all it has remembered." When he saw his reflection in the mirror, instead of sighing, he said softly, "I honor this body. It has been my home through every season of life." At first it felt strange, but over time, Thomas noticed something. The more gentle his words became, the lighter his heart felt. The self-hatred began to dissolve, like mist under the morning sunday. The Buddha once said, "Whatever words we utter should be chosen with care, for people will hear them and be influenced by them." That includes the words we speak silently to ourselves. So here's a simple practice for you. Every morning, stand still for a moment. Place your hand gently on your chest. and speak to yourself as you would to a beloved friend. Say, I am grateful for this life. I honor this body. I deserve peace. Because the truth is, gentle speech is not only a kindness you give others, it is a medicine you give to your own heart. And the more often you take it, the more peace, gratitude, and joy you will find blooming within you. 5. Embracing solitude as a friend. There was a woman named Eleanor. She had just turned 68. Her children had grown up and moved far away. Her husband had passed years ago, and now, most evenings, the house echoed with silence. At first, that silence felt like a heavy weight pressing on her chest. She would sit in her living room, looking at the empty chair across from her, and whisper to herself, I'm alone. No one needs me anymore. Maybe life has already passed me by. Can you feel the ache in those words? Because loneliness can feel like a shadow that follows us everywhere. It can make even a bright day feel gray. But here is where the Buddha's teaching brings light. He reminded us, if you look deeply into the present moment, you will see that you are never truly alone. Eleanor did not believe that at first, but one morning she decided to try. She lit a small candle. She sat quietly and simply followed her breath. In, out, in, out. And something began to shift. She noticed the gentle rise and fall of her chest. She heard the song of a bird outside her window. She felt the warmth of sunlight touching her skin. In that stillness, she realized if she was not abandoned, life itself was sitting beside her. Her breath was her companion. The sky, the earth, the quiet presence of being alive, all were with her. The silence she once feared began to feel like a friend, a space that held her instead of hurting her. Eleanor started practicing this each day. Whenever the shadow of loneliness came, she would close her eyes and breathe. She would whisper softly, I am here. Life is here. I am never truly alone. And slowly, her evenings changed. The empty chair no longer felt like a reminder of loss. It became an invitation to sit with herself, to listen deeply, to touch the peace already within her. The Buddha taught that solitude is not the absence of people. It is the presence of our own true self. When we embrace solitude, we touch a freedom that no one can take away. So here's a simple practice for you. Tonight, when you are alone, turn off the distractions. Sit quietly for just 5 minutes. Breathe, listen, notice the aliveness that surrounds you. And instead of saying, I am lonely, try saying, I am in the company of life itself. Because the truth is, solitude is not your enemy. It is your greatest teacher. And if you learn to sit with it, to listen to it, you may discover that solitude has always been your most faithful friend. 6. Seeing yourself as part of all beings. There was a man named David. He was 70 years old, retired, and often spent his mornings walking in the park. But in his heart, he carried a quiet heaviness. He often thought, I'm just one person. My life doesn't matter that much anymore. I'm small, invisible. The world around him felt so vast, while he felt so separate, so alone. One day, while sitting beneath a tall oak tree, David overheard a Buddhist monk speaking to a small group nearby. The monk said, A single leaf is not separate from the tree. Without the tree, it cannot live, and without the leaf, the tree cannot breathe. Those words struck something deep within David. He began to see himself differently. Just as the leaf and tree need each other, he realized he too was not separate. The breath he was taking in that very moment had been offered by the trees, and every breath he exhaled was food for the trees in return. Suddenly, the air felt alive. The ground beneath his feet, the birds singing above, the children laughing in the distance, he could feel a thread connecting him to all of it. The Buddha often reminded us, this is, because that is. Everything exists in relationship. Nothing stands alone. From that day forward, David carried this awareness. When he felt unworthy, he remembered the rain that fell, the soil that grew his food, the countless hands that harvested and carried it to him, all were part of his being. When he felt lonely, he remembered the breath of every living creature was moving in and out of the same world as his. And slowly, his heart softened. He began to smile at strangers more often. He started thanking the earth before every meal, and in doing so, he discovered a quiet joy. To care for himself was to care for the world, and to care for the world was to care for himself. So here's a gentle practice you can try. Next time you step outside, pause, breathe in, and whisper, "This air connects me to all beings." Breathe out and whisper, "May all beings be well." Do this for just a few breaths. You may begin to feel what David felt, that you are not separate, not forgotten, not small. You are part of everything, and everything is part of you. When you see life this way, compassion flows naturally. Self-love no longer feels forced. Because the truth is, to honor yourself is to honor the whole universe breathing with you. 7. Kintsugi for the soul. There was a woman named Margaret. She was 65, a retired teacher, and she often looked at her life like a collection of broken pieces. A failed marriage, the loss of her younger brother, the health struggles that left scars on her body. She thought, "I am cracked, damaged, less than whole." One afternoon, a friend gifted her a small Japanese bowl, repaired with golden seams. It was called kintsugi, the art of mending broken pottery with gold, making the cracks part of the beauty rather than something to hide. Margaret stared at the golden lines running across the bowl, and for the first time in years, she wondered, what if my life is like this? What if my wounds are not shameful, but sacred? Buddhist wisdom teaches us, turn the poison into medicine. The very places where we suffer are often the places where compassion and wisdom break open. Our cracks are not the end of us, they are where the light enters. Think about your own life. Every scar on your body, every heartbreak, every failure, each one has shaped who you are today. Without those moments, you would not have the same depth, the same tenderness, the same strength. Margaret began a simple practice. Each morning, when she looked in the mirror and saw the wrinkles, the tired eyes, the scars, she whispered, "These are my golden lines. They tell my story. They make me beautiful." Slowly, her relationship with herself changed. Instead of hiding her past, she shared it with her grandchildren, teaching them resilience. Instead of resenting her pain, she used it to connect with others who were hurting. The bowl with golden cracks became her reminder. Brokenness is not the opposite of beauty. It is the doorway to a deeper kind of beauty. So here's something you can try. The next time you feel broken, pause and place your hand gently over your heart. Whisper, "This crack is not my weakness. It is where my wisdom is born." Like kintsugi, you are not less because of your scars. You are more. Because every line, every fracture, every healed wound is filled with the gold of your own courage and compassion. And when you begin to see yourself this way, your story no longer feels like one of loss. It becomes a work of art, a masterpiece that shines precisely because of the cracks. 8. Gratitude in aging. There was a man named Thomas. At 72, he often stood in front of the mirror, staring at the lines on his face, the gray in his hair, and the slower steps of his body. Sometimes he sighed and whispered, "I'm getting old. I'm losing myself." But one morning, while sitting quietly on his porch, he noticed something different. The warmth of the sun on his skin, the sound of birds singing in the trees, the way his chest gently rose and fell with each breath. And suddenly, a thought appeared. What if aging is not about losing, but about receiving? Buddhist wisdom reminds us, every breath is a miracle, every step is a gift. Aging is not a punishment. It is life itself revealing its depth. Each wrinkle carries the memory of a smile, of tears, of stories that shaped us. Thomas began to practice gratitude. When his knees ached as he climbed the stairs, instead of cursing his body, he whispered, "Thank you, legs, for carrying me all these years." When he saw his wrinkled hands, he thought, "These hands held my children, built my home, worked tirelessly. They are sacred." Slowly, something shifted. The fear of aging softened into tenderness. The weight of time transformed into a blessing. Every breath became a quiet prayer of gratitude. And here's the beautiful truth. Gratitude does not erase the signs of aging. It transforms how we see them. It turns what once felt like decline into sacred evidence of a life fully lived. Think about your own body right now. The heartbeat that never rests. The lungs that rise and fall even as you sleep. The eyes that have seen both joy and sorrow. Each part of you is a living reminder. You are still here, still breathing, still learning, still loving. So tonight, before you sleep, place your hand over your heart and whisper, "Thank you for another day. Thank you for the gift of growing older." Because gratitude is the alchemy that turns aging into gold. It makes every breath feel sacred. And it transforms the journey of growing older into a path of peace, acceptance, and deep love for life itself. Summary of key points and lessons for reflection. As we come to the end of this journey together, let's pause for a moment and reflect. Aging is not a loss. It is not the fading of who we once were. It is a sacred invitation to love ourselves more deeply than ever before. Buddha's teaching on impermanence reminds us that everything changes our body, our strength, even our roles in life. But instead of resisting, impermanence shows us the beauty of now. Every wrinkle becomes a reminder of laughter, every gray hair a testimony of wisdom, every breath a precious gift. When we stand in front of the mirror, it is not just a reflection of age we see, but the story of a life fully lived. The mirror whispers, "This is not decline. This is completion. This is grace." Compassion softens our hearts. Gentle words heal the unseen wounds inside us. And gratitude transforms ordinary days into blessings. Every sunrise, every step, every heartbeat becomes a quiet miracle. Even loneliness, which many fear in old age, slowly transforms into a teacher. In silence, we realize we were never truly alone. We belong to the whole universe. We are threads in the infinite fabric of life. And yes, those cracks in our journey, the heartbreaks, the mistakes, the regrets, are not flaws to hide. They are the very places where wisdom enters, where the light of understanding shines through. They make us unique. They make us irreplaceable. So, what is the lesson here? To age with peace is not about pretending to be young again. It is about acceptance. It is about gratitude. It is about honoring the sacred path that has brought us here. If today's reflection touched your heart, take a quiet moment to think of someone you love. Perhaps a parent, a grandparent, or even yourself. Share this message with them. Let it be a gentle reminder, you are not fading, you are becoming whole. And if this video brought you comfort, don't forget to gently tap like, share it with someone who needs it, and join our Buddha Wisdom community by subscribing. Together, we walk this path of insight and peace. Thank you for staying with me until the very end. May you carry serenity in your heart, gratitude in your breath, and kindness in your words. Until we meet again, may you be well, may you be peaceful, and may you be free.